we're going to go back to 2009 and we're going to talk a little bit about, well, no, we're going to talk a lot a bit about the history of the scientific skepticism community and the world of the James Randi Educational Foundation. We called it the JREF. And this is James Randi, who wrote the foreword to my boyfriend's book. He was a friend of ours. He was just amazing. And that's what he was called, the Amazing Randi. He was a magician that ended up making his life work really was educating people about the paranormal. He was an extremely compassionate man. I saw him cry on more than one occasion whenever he heard about the harm that somebody was involved in. He was just a wonderful man. He'd get very frustrated and very snarky at times about some of the con people that were taking advantage of people. It was interesting, but he showed a lot of compassion to people who were believers who had fallen into this world. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about is back in the day, the James Randi Educational Foundation, the JREF, had $1 million challenge. And I believe I know they still have the money. It's in a fund and they take a percentage of it every year and they give it to one person. And I received that grant in 2017, I think it was. I think so, which has allowed me to become a nonprofit and be able to do the things I do without having to pay for it myself. So that money came in, and also I received donations from the public, and that really helps a lot. So I'm able to continue doing the psychic stings and so on, as well as the Wikipedia stuff and other things that I do. And that's because of the Center for Inquiry and other organizations that help me out here and there. But we're going to look back on the Paranormal Challenge. Now, I don't think this was the first one. I'm trying to remember. So they used to have these meetings called TAM, the Amazing Meeting. And so this is the 7th one. And this is the shirt from the Amazing Meeting. So this is 2009. It was held in Las Vegas in July. Yeah, I know. It was really hot, but they wanted to have it in the summer because it was cheaper and because that way students and teachers could attend. So the JREF had $1 million challenge, which allowed people who felt like they had a paranormal ability to prove their ability under testable conditions. And you had to go through a preliminary, which had lower odds. And then if you pass that, then you go to a higher challenge. Now, we're going to look at this one incident that happened at the TAM7 with a psychic she was Danish, and her name is Connie Sonne, Connie, and her last name is Sonne, Sonne, Connie Sonne. And she took the $1 million challenge, and there's a lot of protocol. They have to agree, her and the JREF have to agree what it is she's going to do. What we found that a lot of people do is they can say, oh, I can do all these things. I can do teleportation. I can read people's minds. I can read cats' minds. I can make things spontaneously combust. They come up with all the stuff that they could do. Now, these people are probably mentally unwell. These are not the kind of people that are the Tyler Henrys, Matt Frasers, Teresa Caputo's. Those people know damn well they're conning people. They know, of course. This is a different group. I'm looking at my cats over here. Of course, when I go on camera, they're gonna like toddlers, So I can't remember if Connie Sonne was the first. Let me take a quick look here. But at the Amazing Meetings, they would tell people that they could come to the Amazing Meeting and they could be tested. And the JREF didn't pay for any of that. I'm typing it in. Still can't get these glasses right. Okay, so let's go over here to the testing. Connie Sonne was first. Okay, so her test was to identify playing cards in a sealed envelope using a pendulum, because that's what she said she could do. So they found it really difficult to get people to commit to this, to going through the tests in public. They wanted to do this in public. And people, like I said, they have a hard time saying exactly what it is they can do, under what circumstances, and with what kind of reliability, and setting up a protocol that's tight enough that will eliminate chance. And I believe what they had done in this case is that they had made it so that she would win the $1 million. There was no protocol. You didn't have to go through the beginning protocol to pass that, then to go into the $1 million. So they made it kind of tough for her. Most people with the CFIIG, the Center for Inquiry Investigation Group, does, and they have a $500,000 challenge. And I think a lot of the other challenges too, the Australians have $100,000. I think what they do is you have to pass this basic thing, and then you can go move up to the higher for the money. Nobody's ever passed the basics. Nobody, because the people who say that they want to be challenged, they want to be tested, are people who are deluded in thinking that they have paranormal powers, not people who are trying to cheat. They've had 0 instances of people trying to cheat. Really interesting. The people who are cheating and know they're cheating do not want to be tested because they know full well. So I used to be involved with the IIG, which was called the Independent Investigations Group. Now it's the CFIIG. And I learned a lot. 2009 to about 2013, myself and Mark Edward, my partner, were involved in the IIG. Learned a lot, met some great people. And I'm just not on board with it anymore. I think that the people who are being tested are people who are not well, even though I understand their argument that if you had a paranormal power, you would probably be mentally unwell. I mean, if you had the ability to control the weather, or you had the ability to communicate with the dead, or if you had were clairaudient, where you could hear voices far away, or hear voices, I think you would probably be not well, if that was possible. So I get it. We never really went after the people that I think we should have gone after, which are people who are really deliberately conning. And it was always people claiming that they could move clouds with their mind, or, whatever, make an object appear, or vortexes, or whatever. I mean, we tested all kinds of stuff. And I think those people were really not well. They felt like they could control the dice, the rolling of a die. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about Connie Sonne, which is the first demonstration they did at TAM. And it was a big number. Mark Edward wrote that there were 1,700 people watching. I think that was online. And everybody that had attended TAM, the regular schedule, filled the room to watch this demonstration. So there's hundreds of people there, maybe 800, 900 people there. It was fascinating, just fascinating. So I wanted to take another look at this, because nobody's really discussed this since 2009. But I found all kinds of news articles on it. I don't know what happened to Connie Sonne, but what I did find is completely unique. I don't think it's ever been released, is that Mark Edward recorded an interview with her after the challenge, or before. I don't know. I've never heard it. So I'm going to play it for you. I've never heard this. I played it. I found it just a couple days ago, and I'm getting all of Mark's CDs, cassettes, mini cassettes, reel-to-reel tapes, everything he had. I'm getting everything changed so I could put it computer-wise. I'm sharing with you guys what I find, if it's of that kind of world, and he's interviewing her. I knew he got to interview her. He was the only person who got to interview her. And because he had a blog, skeptic blog at the time. And I read his blog this morning in preparation for this, but I have the audio. And as I said, I've never heard it. And I don't think anybody's heard it. So I'm going to share that with you. We're going to listen to it in real time. Also, I'm going to show you some of the challenge, the videos of the challenge, and I'll give you links to them so you can look at it further if you want to do that. Otherwise, this will go on for hours. But I thought that'd be kind of fun and interesting and different. And you can see how when people are being tested who say they have paranormal abilities, you can kind of see how it's put together, because there's a huge rap about people say, well, you can't, the JREF just cheated, and these organizations that say they're going to test you, they cheat because they make up stuff or they make you look bad or whatever. No, every test I have seen and we've participated in, myself, with the protocols and everything, they were tight. They were so over the top that the test almost couldn't even go on because it was so many people had to be involved, way over the top. Like you'd have a person who'd come in and one person in charge of moving, turning the pages of something, and the person who's turning the pages and whatever test it is has no idea the answers to anything. No way they can give off any clues. And then when we can, we would ask the person who is being tested to bring their own person. Of course, there was tight controls around that person too. We also told them over and over, test before you come out, test before you show up, test, test, test. Here's the test that we've designed. Is that okay with you? You have to sign off on it. You have to sign it. And we would say, take that test protocol and test yourself at home. They never did. They just believed they could do it. It was wild. I remember Mark picked a man up at the airport because they had to do this on their own dime. We didn't pay for anything, and the JREF didn't pay for anything either. So I remember Mark picked up a man at the airport who was going to be tested at the IIG at the time. It was called the IIG. I wasn't there, but he picked him up, and the guy said, "Do you have my check?" And Mark's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I hope you have my check, because I think it was $100,000 at the time, because I'm going to need that money to get home." And Mark says, "You're only here for like 2 days. You have to pass this test, and then you have to pass the higher test to get that $100,000. He goes, "No, I need that money to get home." Mark's like, "I don't know what you're going to do, because you're not going to have time to do both tests in the 2 days, because first you got to pass this first test, and then we have to, go in and do a tighter protocol and, get everything agreed to it and everything like that." And the guy's like, "I don't know what I'm going to do." It was all agreed to before the guy showed up and signed off on. You two get along over there. So one cat wants to groom the other cat, and the other cat does not want to be groomed. Welcome to my world. All right. So I am just going off of my memory and what quickly I read today. And I have not seen this stuff since 2009. So I sat in the audience for this with hundreds of people. And oh my gosh, everybody said the same thing that was interviewed afterwards, or we talked to afterwards. We had to sign a waiver when we came into the room that we were going to be completely still and silent. And this room of 900 people was completely still and silent, except for one person coughed. And everybody said there was a person who coughed once. Everybody brought that up. So what's happening on the stage is Banachek and Connie Sonne. And they have agreed, the JREF and Connie Sonne have agreed on what she's going to do. Let's see if I can find the first one. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of this, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave the links for you to watch, because otherwise, it took a long time for her to go from one number to the other. So I think, like I said, I haven't watched this in a long time. I think what Banachek is going to do is he's going to explain what's going to happen. And so I don't have to do that. Banachek is a mentalist and a magician who specializes in mentalism, which is the form of magic that looks like you're psychic. And that's exactly the same thing my partner, Mark Edward, is a mentalist. My partner, Mark, was his expertise was in seance, and especially the Victorian seance, Houdini and the trumpets and the tambourines and stuff like that. He did a lot of that kind of stuff. So more of the 1900 type seances. And Banachek is also in the same branch of magic, which is mentalism, but he didn't do seance. But of course, they all use the same kind of tricks, getting out of ropes and stuff like that, and stuff. But my partner did slates, the kind of wood with the slate, and you write on it with chalk. And he did billets. That's where you hold the object up to your, whatever. I don't want to explain it too far, but mentalism is the ability to look like you're psychic. And they use the same tricks, some of the same tricks that the psychics used to use. Now they don't do this kind of stuff because it's too easy to just do cold reading, call out letters of the alphabet. So anyway, my boyfriend was more old school in that world. Okay, Banachek he's a very famous mentalist. Performed in Vegas. Okay. Let's see if we can see what's on here. All right. Okay, it's got this. I should just read this to you. This is the preliminary challenge test of Connie Sonne, who says she's a dowser. It gets really strange, you guys. If I'm hoping Mark's interview tells you how strange this was. And this was taken a while to figure out what the protocol would be. Like I said, this woman said she could communicate with the dead. She said she could do all kinds of things. So for them to get to this point where they had agreed on this exact protocol took a while, maybe a year or more. All right, so the materials, a dowsing pendulum supplied by her. So it would be like a chain. I don't have one right here handy. Be like a chain with some heavier object that would hang underneath it. That's the kind of dowsing she used. And there's all kinds of different things that people use for dowsing. All right. 41 coin envelopes of a variety large enough to contain a playing card. I'm not going to make you read this. With an adhesive seal. So like those manila envelopes. I remember Mark always used to make that same joke. He'd say, when I'm in Manila, I pick up some envelopes. It's like a dad joke, right? So they're brown, like a orangey brown, and they have a flap on the end of it. So these are used in mentalism. Oh my gosh, I probably have 100,000 here in the house somewhere. So they wanted the kind that would hold a playing card. 41 coin envelopes large enough to fit the smaller envelopes in with an adhesive seal, and then 4 large manila envelopes with adhesive and bracket seals. So in other words, there was 3 envelopes. So they had an envelope that could put a playing card in, and then got put into a middle envelope and got put into another envelope. And they did that because they didn't want to have any way that somebody could see through. You see how tight the protocols are as I described this. So then a previously unopened deck of bicycle poker size playing cards. So bicycle is a brand. So it would be a deck of cards. It's all sealed up. And they're poker size. So they're, what is that? 4 inches by 3 inches or something. And a black magic marker. So then they had a 10-sided die with sides marked 1 through 10. So they took a die that's 10, had 10 sides, not this one I'm showing you that's 6, and they're marked 1 through 10. And then they had a table. So this is what's there. This is what they used. Okay, then they had scissors, chairs. Okay, that's it. That's what they were using. Pre-test setup. In the days before the test, the JREF staff opened a deck of bicycle playing cards for use in the test. The cards were separated by suit, and the rule cards and the jokers were thrown away. Those are those cards that are kind of like supplemental cards that are included in the deck. So the jacks, queens, and kings of each suit were set aside for use in an open test. They're going to, I'll explain that in a minute. So they're only using cards 1 through 10. All right. The remaining cards, ace through 10 of each suit, were shuffled and double enveloped. The small envelopes were placed inside a large manila envelope that had the suit printed on the outside. So it'd say hearts, spades, clubs, diamonds. The 4 large envelopes containing the ace through 10 of each suit were signed along every seal. So they closed up the flap and they signed it. So this is happening at the JREF headquarters before. All right. This is done by the JREF staff to safeguard against tampering. Okay, so they had an open test. When Miss Sonne, Connie Sonne, takes the stage, she will participate in an open test to make sure her powers are working. And this is what they always do in all of them. They show how it's done and they say, how are you feeling? You do it now. Here it is with no controls over it. And you decide if we should continue with the test. In other words, do you feel like you're ready? Is your energy high enough? Have you eaten enough bananas? Whatever it is that you need to make the ability, how do you feel in the room? Do you feel negative energy, which isn't a thing, but do you feel put upon because there's a room of 900 people staring at you in a super quiet room? Is that too intimidating for you? Can you do this test? And the way you know if you can do the test is you can see the answer is that's a 5. Is your pendulum telling you that's a 5 or whatever the test is? And if they say yes, I feel like everything's a go, then they proceed with a more controlled test. Okay, so what they did is they used the unused jacks, queens, and kings. And she may ask to have cards placed inside the envelopes and use a pendulum douse from while she knows the identity. So like she's testing for a jack. And so she's, I want to test and see if the jack, put it inside the envelope. I know it's a jack. Does my pendulum say jack? Or my special powers say jack? So she knows the answer. This is just the preliminary. Make sure she's all on the, okay, they said, if her powers work under these conditions, we will move on to the closed test. Okay, here's the closed test. It's probably pretty similar. The tester will place the 10 double-sided cards on the table in a horseshoe shape. The tester will roll the die, the 10-sided die, to determine the value of the card. This is like scrolling. That she's going to attempt to find. Okay, so like a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. When she's chosen the envelope by pointing, not touching, the tester will pick it up, mark it on the outside of the big envelope that has the suit printed on the outside. So the big envelope says spade, diamond, hearts, clubs. And that's all it says on the outside of the envelope. And then what she's going to do is she's supposed to be looking for a certain number. And then when she says, this is the one that has that card in it, she's not allowed to touch it. Banachek will pick it up and he'll write mark it on the outside. Okay, the 9 remaining envelopes will be returned to the big envelope that has her suit printed on the outside. The tester and Mrs. Sonne will repeat this process for 2 more suits so that there are 3 reps, each using a different suit. Okay, so I guess they're going to take like 1 through 10 diamonds and they'll put them there. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. She puts 10 envelopes. So they mix them all up. So the outside of the manila envelope says diamonds on it. So it has 1 through 10. And they mix them all up. Banachek doesn't know what's in what envelope because that was marked by the JREF staff ahead of time and then signed off on the flap of the envelope. So she's got 10 choices in a horseshoe fashion, and they roll the die, and if the number 5 comes up, then she's going to put her pendulum over the top of each one of those envelopes Banachek does not know the answer, and nobody else is on stage other than him and Connie Sonne. And she's going to go over each of the envelopes until she feels like she's at the 5. It's one of those 10. So when she gets to the 5, she's going to tell him that one right there is the 5. He's going to pick it up, put it aside. All 9 other envelopes are going to be put together. They're going to be put inside another envelope, a bigger envelope, and put to the side. And then he's going to get the spades, and he's going to take all 10 spades. They're all mixed up. He's going to take those 10 spades, and he's going to lay them out on the horseshoe thing. She's going to roll the die, I think, or he's going to roll the die. Let's say it's a 3 this time. And then she's going to go through, and she's going to go to over each envelope looking for the 3. And when her pendulum tells her, or her mind tells her, or whatever she's using, whatever power she says she has, says that's the 3, he's going to do the same thing. She's going to point to it. He's going to pick it up. He's going to, I guess he writes on it, 3 or something. We'll know in a minute. And then it gets, all the other 9 envelopes are closed up, put it aside, and then they're going to do the spades, and then they're going to do the hearts. So 4 tasks. So her odds are going to be really high that she's going to get this right. Because if you got 10 cards right there in front of you, and you don't know which one's in what envelope, you don't know what card number is in each, getting one right is, the odds are 1 in 10. Okay. I mean, you got 10 in front of you, just by chance, you will get it right once every time, once every 10 tries. Now, there's statistics on this, so maybe 3 times out of 10 is normal. Hold on, I'm doing something, Hamilton. And 3 times out of 10 is normal. I mean, it's by chance. I don't know. There's statistical ways that people know how many it is. So she would have to get so many. And so they're doing it 4 times. I think they'll say the odds here in a minute. Okay. Oh, it says they're only doing it 3 times, 3 repetitions. After Mrs. Sonne has completed the 3 representations, the envelopes will be opened and compared against the values written by the tester on the outside of the envelope. So she says, that's the 5. He's going to write a 5 on it, set it over there, and then she'll go to the next suit. All right. When it's all done, she's done 3 times. Then they're going to open up each envelope and see if the card inside matches the number she said. If all 3 cards match the values that she says, then she'll pass the preliminary. Okay, so this is the preliminary. She's not getting the million. Right. Then if she passes the preliminary, she will be the first person who's ever done so. She sent out a promo video saying, I'm going to be in Las Vegas on this day. Okay, I'm going to show you this part. Let me make this larger. Let me get a glass of water. Okay, so this is a James Randi Educational Foundation video. This is not my video. This is theirs, and it's kind of blurry, so this is 2009.
And I'm going to join TAM7 in Las Vegas, 12th July. And I have never worked with this. I'm a daughter right now. I can a lot. I'm allowed to do a lot. But this time I'm going to doors. And you can read the protocol at James Randi Foundation's website. My last work, I'm retired now, for several years ago actually. I'm retired from the police force, where I was for 9 years in the Danish police force as a constable. And dowsing and so on, it's quite new for me, because it's only 1 year and 8 months ago I found out what I could, and I can a lot, as I said before. I don't know what more to say, but otherwise I would say wait and see what I can about the challenge at 10. And after that, much more will come, and you will be surprised. Thank you.
My name is Allison Smith. I'm a research assistant for the James Randi Educational Foundation. For the past year and a half, I have been handling many of the aspects of the $1 Million Challenge. This is the first time I believe we've ever done it in front of an audience this large, and I'm very excited to see all of you here. Thank you for coming. During this test, we're going to ask that you not take any pictures whatsoever, no video, no flash, no electronics that make any sound. We don't want to have any distractions whatsoever. Connie is going to be dowsing for the contents of sealed envelopes, and we want to make sure that she has every opportunity to pass this challenge. This is the preliminary test. She has 1 in 1,000 odds of beating this test simply by chance, and we all want to see her perform well. I'm going to let her and Banachek take the stage now. Banachek is going to be running this test, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Please stay in your seats, and please try to be quiet. Thank you.
1,001 odds. Wow.
Hi, Connie. How are you doing?
Hi.
Good.
Thank
A couple
you.
of things we need to take care of ahead of time. You have read the challenge test agreement, have you not?
Right.
And also the protocol. All right. I need
Also.
you to sign these ahead of time, and just stating that you agree to air all of these right here. This is actually the challenge test agreement. I need you to do that one first, if you would, please. And basically what that does, and as you said, you have read it, but you can take a look at it again, feel
Yeah.
comfortable before you sign it. Basically what that allows us to do is that Connie has agreed to all the conditions here. Things like the Amazing Randy sitting up front, myself testing her, and she's agreed to those. That is not the actual protocol itself.
Okay. Here you are.
Thank you very much, Connie. I appreciate that. This one is the protocol,
Yeah.
and this is how we are going to test you.
Yeah.
You want to look over it and make sure that nothing has changed.
I believe you.
Thank you very
It's
much.
okay.
Good, thank you. And what we need you
I have
do
to
is-
sign it?
Yes,
Yes.
you do, right there. You will see James Randy's signature is on there as well. He has agreed to the protocol.
Okay. I agree
Want to
too.
make sure that it's fair for you
Yeah.
and also the JREF.
Thank you.
Now, I think what you need is a chair. Is that correct? So
That is
can we get a
correct.
chair for Connie, please? Thank you very much. And if we get one for me as well, that would be fantastic. I do want to point out, I am simply the tester. I did not put the protocol together. My job
Thank
is
you.
simply to make sure that the protocol is followed. At the very beginning, Connie will get a chance to take out her dowser, and she'll get a chance to calibrate it so that her psychic powers are in sync. Thank you very much. I have not seen the envelopes that actually contain the cards, and I think they have those with the security gentleman over there, and he's going to be bringing those over here. So we will open that together for the first time, all right? Can we have those, please? Thank you very, very much. And these have not been out of your hands since they were handed to you? Okay. And who handed these to you?
Allison.
Allison. And Allison is the one that was, as my understanding is that she's probably the one that actually sealed everything inside, that nobody else has seen this. Thank you very, very much. This is test number 1.
Yes.
We have a few backups just in case protocol is not followed by the audience
I know.
or yourself,
Yeah.
okay? I'm going to open this up, and I want you to watch as I do. I want to make sure I don't cut anything inside there. There we go. It's stuffed in there tight. And let's see what we have. All right, so we have a 10-sided die. We have a couple of play envelopes for the open test. We have playing cards over here, and we have test number 1, clubs, test number 1 spades, and test number 1 diamonds. Hearts is on the very top.
Okay.
I'll go in the exact order that they have given me right there. These are cards right here. Now I understand that you want 3 of these cards, correct? I'll even let you choose the 3 that you want. Which ones would you like to do?
Doesn't matter.
This is an open test, so it's
Yeah.
basically,
Doesn't matter.
yeah.
Okay.
This is just for you to warm up. Good. Now you have your own dowser?
I have it here.
You have your own dowser?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm just going to be quiet. I'm going to sit back and let you do whatever it is you need to do. When you feel comfortable with these cards and that you've calibrated the dowsing, what I need you to do is let me know, and then we'll stick them in the envelopes.
You just start. I don't have to.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What are you going to tell me what I should doors for?
Well, they're face up, so really,
Yeah.
right now, just douse for the Jack of Hearts.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Now, let's go for the King of Clubs, if you would.
Okay. Easy.
That was quick.
Yep.
And how about the Queen of Hearts?
Yeah, we'll take that too. It's okay.
Good. Now, do you need me to mix them around again, or you
No.
want me to put them?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to place, I'm just seeing one envelope right here. I understand that you want me to place one of these inside of the card like that. And let's just stick it inside here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put them under the table if you don't mind. Just mix it
I
up a
don't
little bit
mind.
for you. Yeah. Again, this is not an actual test per se, it's just you.
No.
Those fit in there very tight. That one is also going to go in there face down. And there you go.
Okay.
So our odds of getting it right are 1 in 3. Okay, so as you guys can hear, it was super quiet there. And this is part 2. So I'm not sure how much of this I want to show you because it is very tedious. There's several videos. So when we get over to the final where he's doing this, let's show you a little bit more and you can see what more is going on. Like I said, you can watch this if you want. It's all on YouTube.
Move these up just a little bit.
This
for you.
is the horseshoe
There.
that he's
No, I
putting
can't
them out in
change
a
the
horseshoe.
position of them.
Okay. It's all right.
There we go. Is that good for you?
Yeah.
All right.
Fine.
So Connie, what we do at this point is we have the ace through 10. I don't know what order they are right there. These are the hearts. And we have a 10-sided die right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to toss this. I will call out the number. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually write the number down on one of these cards right here. I will want you to verify the numbers on top, so it's 100% fair for you as well.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to roll it 3 times first of all, just so you can see that the die does roll different numbers. Okay, so that would be a 4. That's a 1.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a 1 again. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
You are.
Yes, okay.
Good. So this will be the official roll now. This will be the card you'll be looking for. That is a 3?
Yeah.
It says 3, yes.
She didn't write it down, or he's writing it down. So she's got to go over each one of those. Now, these dowsing, people who are dowsing is one of the most amazing forms of paranormal that we've dealt with in the skeptic community, because it feels like something else is controlling. You fool yourself so easily. It's not like, it's a little like you know, the Ouija board. You don't think you're pushing the planchette around, but somebody is. Or if you're table tipping, you are moving the table. Somebody's moving the table. So the way they hold this, you can see, because this is long chain. I don't know if it's a heart at the end. It's hard to tell. It's hard to hold it completely still. So it's called the ideomotor effect, and you can find that on Wikipedia. You can see how she's got her elbow on the table and her hand up, and she's trying to hold it still to see if the pendulum, I don't know, circles or goes side to side or something like that. But she's making those movements herself, and she thinks she's holding it perfectly still. So she thinks the pendulum is actually doing the seeing, but it's her mind is controlling it. It's really fascinating. But we get this dowsing is, you could show that it is absolutely not paranormal and that you are doing it yourself. And they fail every test that they're given. Randy had done a lot of dowsing tests. There's a very famous video of him went to Australia and he conducted a test. It was fascinating with water. And they always fail. And then whenever they're shown that they're failing, they say, oh, I didn't feel right, or, they make some kind of excuse. They never change their mind. It's fascinating, very fascinating.
Okay. Number 2 from me there.
You believe
Your
it?
point, yes.
This one is
it's
the 3?
Yeah.
That one's a 3.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a 3 on here.
Okay.
And I'm just going to place it right in front of this 3
Yeah.
over here. All right. I'm going to gather these up in order again.
Okay.
All right.
See how he's being very tight.
I'm going to put them back inside the hearts right there.
Okay.
And that will be set off to the side right over there. Good. Let me get this out of the way
So,
here.
you
ready
can
for the
see
next
how
one?
quiet that audience
Okay,
is.
so that's the first one you've
I
committed
was sitting
yourself.
way in the back.
Number 3.
All right. Clubs.
Yes.
Once again, nothing else inside there, Connie?
Okay.
Okay. I just want you to be comfortable with
Banachek
that.
doesn't know the
Sure.
answer either.
And again, I'm going to put these out in order for you. Like that. Is that good?
Yeah.
So to be clear, she agreed to this. She says this works. She says she can tell what number it is using her pendulum. And some of these pendulums are fascinating. They'll like some of them are hollow and you can put a little bit of gold or water or oil or whatever inside the pendulum. And so the dowsers say that they can test for oil or water, whatever is in the pendulum.
Okay.
That's good.
There's all kinds of
All right. Gonna
all
roll it
kinds
again,
of
and this will be the official roll.
dowsing.
Yes.
7?
7.
7.
Write it down, Banachek. So the odds are 1 in 1,000 she's going to get all 3 right. Okay, so let's stop this for the moment because, as I said, you can watch this later if you want yourself, because it's just too much to watch all these. So very tight protocols. The person who's doing the challenge, who's leading it, can't know the answer because they can subliminally give away the answer by a head nod or like a look of surprise or whatever. What we found with people who douse, as I said, it's wild. This paranormal belief is called water witching. That's where they hold they hold dowsing rods, or they hold a clothes hanger, or they hold a branch from a tree or a stick from the tree, and they walk around. And idiomotor effects, they know where the water is under the ground because there are no demographics. They know that water is more likely to be on an area that's like a hill or not a hill or something. I mean, they know where there are in the world. And they also, there's water under the ground in a lot of places. So it's hard to explain. You'll have to look up dowsing, water witching, that kind of thing. And like I said, it's all kinds of stuff where they can put like a solid object, or they can say, I'm going to take a personal item of yours. Like it's each dowser is different. So like somebody might say, okay, here is an earring that you've been wearing. Maybe you have to wear the earring or the bracelet. Let's say you have a bracelet. And they say, I want you to wear that bracelet for 24 hours, 48 hours, sleep in it, shower in it, do everything with it. And so that is going to be what I'm dowsing for, is your bracelet. And I guess what they would do is they would put a label on it somehow. They'd say, this is the bracelet for Susan Gerbic. And it'd be on there. It'd be on somehow, they'd have that bracelet set there. And then they would take 9 other bracelets that were probably identical, but bought that same day, or, it didn't live with anybody for any period of time. And they put the same label on it, but it'd have different writing on it, or a different number, because they don't want the person to be able to tell which is missing a label. Which one has the label. If you have 10 objects, you can tell which one has the label on it, obviously. So they all have to have labels on it, and no identifying, wouldn't say Susan's. Maybe they would have to, depending on what the dowser says, maybe they have to cover it up with a blanket. Maybe they have to put them in a box. Maybe they have to put them in an envelope. The dowser decides. They'd say, I can do this under what conditions? Okay, they'd say, I can do it as long as a blue cloth is covering the object. Who knows? And then they say, okay, any particular shade of blue? And so they bring in a blue cloth, and they're like, does this work? And I've got 5 shades of blue over here. Here's a blue. Here's a blue. Which kind of blue do you want? And the dowser says, I want this one. This is the shade of blue I want to cover up the object. And they cover up the object, and they test them, and they say, okay, can you see underneath this? Can you feel that there's something underneath there with your dowsing? Can you hold that underneath and you can tell? And the person says, yes, I can feel something underneath there. And yes, I feel like there's some, it's a bracelet. And then that's the open test. And then they go to the harder test, which would be 10 bracelets. And she can't see the little, which one belongs to Susan. And it's supposed to have my energy, I'm doing that with quotes, on it. And you've got 10 objects. So these are tests that are designed by the psychic or the dowser or the parent person who thinks they have this ability. It's designed by them. It's not designed by the person who's putting the strict protocols on it. They're just agreeing to it, making sure that it is as tight as possible, so that no chance that the psychic could cheat, and also so it's fair to the psychic and fair to the organization that's giving away the money. So it's got to be fair to everybody, agreed on. After the fact, you can't be saying, oh, well, I didn't feel right, because you agreed to it just seconds before you started that you felt fine. And you can't come in and say, well, James Randi's in the front of the audience, I can't have him there. It's like, no, you agreed to James Randi being here in the front of the audience, and he's here. So that is what you agreed to. You can't be putting conditions of like, oh, I need to eat more bananas right now. I need a case of bananas brought in here, and I need to eat all these bananas. So Uri Geller is the master of this. And what he would do is, the organizations wouldn't put tight controls on him. They just assumed they just assumed he wasn't cheating, I guess. I don't know. But he would spend ages on, dowsing and say, oh, I'm not ready. I'm going to have to try something else. I need to take a break. I need to go over here and do this other. Here, do you have a watch? Let me look at your watch. He's distracting them, because Uri Geller is a magician. So he distract people. And in the meantime, he, or maybe a Confederate, would manipulate the other things while other people are while they're distracted. He would do other things like take a peek or cheat or whatever, lift up the blue cloth or whatever he needed to do. Or he'd say, I just can't do it today, if he couldn't cheat to get in and do it. So he was wonderful at manipulating people, but this ain't gonna happen. So let's get over to the part where the results are, and you guys already know what the results are going to be on this. Okay, let's see. Because obviously this doesn't work, so.
You've agreed with that. That's the only way that this test would be a success, correct?
Right.
Let's see how well you did.
They have to get, I think she has to get all three.
The first test was supposed to be a 3.
See how it's right there and never left anybody's sight.
I'll let you cut the end off,
Okay.
if you would. Be very careful because
Yeah.
I don't want to cut the other one's side yet. Thank you. Inside here. Again, very, very careful
Yeah.
at the very
It's
end.
inside an envelope inside of an envelope, so even Banachek can't see. You saw she had no time to spend with him.
Thank you very much.
She's a police officer,
to
isn't
be a
this
3.
interesting? Dowsers necessarily aren't mentally, they're fine. A lot of times they're just really deluded.
It's in there tight.
That's what she said. That's what Connie's thinking too.
Connie, that is a 2.
Okay.
So you have
Yeah.
failed.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what the other ones are. I was told to do so.
She's failed the whole thing
At this point, the test has failed. You
Yeah.
do understand that,
I
don't you?
know.
Okay, good.
because she had to get all 3 right to pass to the next one. Let's see if she gets any right. Remember, the chances of getting one test
This one is
right are
supposed
1
to be
in
a
10.
7. Cut that for me, please.
She paid to come all the way to Vegas for this from where she lives, Amsterdam, or
Sorry, Connie, that was an ace.
Yeah.
almost like chance,
And the final one,
almost like she
Supposed
doesn't
to
have
be
the
an ace.
ability.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you an interview. I'm going to show you 2 interviews actually, where she explains to the audience and her, everybody what's going on.
that is a 2.
Yeah.
So, Connie, you didn't get any of them right
Nope.
at all, not one of them.
That's okay.
There's a little bit more of the protocol that we do have to follow so that you're 100% satisfied that we didn't do anything sneaky for you, which we would not. But I need you to cut these open. These are the hearts. Okay, that's the
Yeah.
first card. And what I need you to do is to cut these open
To see what in
to see what's inside.
Yeah.
Yes, if you would, please. Just cut
Yeah,
them
because I
in.
got to make sure they're not all
just touch the
3s
end
of
of it.
hearts
Go
or
ahead, you
something,
can-
or 1 of hearts, ace of hearts, or 7 of hearts, or whatever.
Once again, if you would.
So she's going to go through all of those. Okay, so
This is
let's just skip that part for the moment. So this is, again, we're proving that, I mean, nothing has left anybody's sight. They've been on the desk the whole time. And yes, I know he's a mentalist and a magician, and he has the power to be able to do these kinds of change things, but you can tell that nothing like that is going on at all. So she's going to go through and she's going to make sure that the 10 envelopes were all different, 1 through 10, right? She has, well, 1 through 9, or the 9 envelopes that she didn't choose. They all have to be gone through to make sure that the JREF didn't cheat, because the JREF could have put, said there's 1 through 10 in the envelopes, and actually they're all 3s or something like that. So he's going through them, and it's got a big pile, and the audience applauds. Okay, I wanted to show you that because so you can see what the, hold on. Let me pause this for a second. Showing the ones she was supposed to, see, they're double folders.
And the final one here, of course, get it out of there, is these 3 of spades. So as you can see, Connie, all the suits are indeed there,
Yeah.
all right? We did
It's
not
okay.
get any correct over there,
Yeah.
so, but I'd like to
It's
thank
okay.
you very, very much for coming.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
He was very respectful. The large audience. I mean, it was silent. That was it. It was really interesting. The people in the audience were just hoping she'd get something, because we as human beings, we'd love to have a paranormal power. I mean, that would be amazing if she was able to do that. That would have been so phenomenal. And we all would have witnessed it. And then it would have moved to a much tougher challenge where, maybe she'd do the exact same thing, but it was 5 rounds she had to do or something like that. They'd figure out the statistics on it. Again, it'd have to be agreed to. It'd have to be exactly what she says. I don't see how you can get any fairer than that. I just can't, because there was no way she could have cheated, and there's no way he could have cheated, and there's no way the JREF could have cheated. It was all entirely, if she has a paranormal ability to use the pendulum in that way, as she said, it should be a no-brainer. Now, they also have to say with what results. So if she had said, I can do this 100% of the time, 80% of the time, 30% of the time, then the test has to be designed to test that number. So if she says, I can do this 30% of the time, the JRF might say, well, the odds for 30% of the time are chance. So we're not going to go ahead with this test because, a random stranger off the street might have 30% odds. Or if we're going to get 30% odds, we're going to do this 10 times with 10 different decks or something like that. So maybe, have to go through it 40 times or some odd statistical way of figuring out if they could do it within 30% of the time. But most of these psychics say they can do it 80, 85, 90, 100% of the time. Dowsing or anything we've ever tested, it's always been like this. So you can see this is respectful. The people applauded. Everybody was extremely quiet. He was professional. This is how it's done. This is exactly how protocols are done by the independent investigator, the Center for Inquiry Investigative Group, which used to be the IIG when I was there, Independent Investigation Group. That's why I say it wrong every time. So let's go back because there are interviews. So let's go to the interviews. They did, this channel is the James Randi Educational Foundation, RANDI. God, it has 143,000 subscribers. They haven't uploaded in a very long time. So let's go find those interviews. I don't even remember looking at these. I was there. Press conference. Let's see, press conference. There it is. This is back in the day when videos had to be under 10 minutes to put them up on YouTube. Remember those? So let's just have a first look at this, and then we're going to move on to Mark's interview because you could look these videos up. It's not a problem. Okay, the first person on the screen here you're going to see is James Randi. This has got 19,000 views. That's pretty good, but it's 16 years old. Oh my gosh, 16 years. Well, I guess I've been around a long time. So, I mean, I was there. How much I remember, I don't know. Okay, this man on the right that you're seeing there in the light blue striped shirt is James Randi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And I guess we should start this off with questions about the test, questions you have for Connie or the JREF or anything about the challenge.
Okay, so the audio is really bad, so I don't think I'm going to show you much. Allison Smith at the time was in charge of the Paranormal Challenge. The person to her left, on your right, is Jeff Wag. He's the guy who kind of he organized TAM for several years. He was a volunteer for a long time. And then that's Connie Sonne with her arms crossed next to Jeff. And then next to Jeff is Phil Plait. Phil Plait was, he's called the Bad Astronomer. He's known for a blog called The Bad Astronomer or Bad Astronomy or something like that. He wrote a book on it. And he had a short-lived TV show. And for a very short time, he was the president of the JREF. And I think that's why he's sitting on the panel. And Phil Plait was, just there for a small amount of time. And then he left to go do a TV show, and he ended up giving up the JREF. Sitting next to Phil Plait is Banachek, who you met. He was on stage testing her. And then there's James Randi, who's sitting closest to all of us.
Just yell out anything you'd like, and we'll get this started.
No, not at all. I do.
So they said, the person in the audience says, so Connie, now that you failed the test, do you have second thoughts about your paranormal ability? And she says, no, not at all.
Know what I can and what's behind still. So it's okay.
Can you elaborate on you do know what you can and what's behind?
Yeah, you know.
Okay, so this is just unhearable and there's no captions or anything on this. So maybe what I'll do is download these videos someday, put them into one video and put captions on them with the permission of the JREF. So we're going to move on to Mark's interview because, like I said, I haven't listened to these and these are just unlistenable. It's too quiet. There's no audio, even though they have mics, but no, this is 2009. People weren't doing stuff like they did. Okay. So Mark wrote a blog and I will put that up for you guys. Where is it? So there's a lot of discussion about what happened. And there was media. There was a lot of discussion on Reddit. There was also discussion on the International Skeptics Forum, which is early days. It was called the JREF blog. And Skeptic blog. Okay, here, let me show you this. And then I will put this in the show notes, the description under this. And this is the blog that Mark wrote for years for Skeptic. It was the Skeptic Society, Michael Shermer's group. And he called it Connie's Conundrums. And this is dated July 13th, 2009. And he goes through and he talks about what happened and how he felt about it and how he interviewed her. And then he says at the end, he says, as a friend said, as we watch Connie leave the 4-point casino lobby by herself, there goes a woman who just lost $1 million bet. And then there's comments, and the comments are even really interesting too. So I will put this link under so you guys can read it. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let you listen to this. And as I said, I have never listened to this. Let me see how long it is.
Sorry, if you're on either side of the
Okay, the audio is much better. This is 31 minutes. All right, now that's long. Sorry, but I haven't listened to it either. I don't think I've ever listened to it. And as I said, I found it on a CD. Remember those metal discs, like silicone discs? I found it on a CD and I downloaded it. So we're going to listen to it. And I'm going to tell you what I remember. And from what Mark told me, because we weren't living together. We were a couple, but we weren't living together. We were hundreds of miles apart. And what he told me is that he approached her as a believer himself, as if he weighed on the side of the paranormal, that he was a skeptic, but he was more paranormal. And he approached her that way, hoping that she would expose if she was playing around, if she was conning people, he was trying to get her on his side and say like, yeah, okay, well, what were you doing? Or he was hoping he would get a side of her that wasn't what was shown on the stage and stuff. That's what he told me. And I think it failed, but I don't remember correctly. And like I said, I'm only going off of my memory. All right. So I'm going to show you, I'm not going to show you anything because it's just audio. So you're going to sit and listen to me. And if I pause, then I pause. I think that's the easiest way of doing it. Is just let you listen to how it's going on. I don't know. I hope you find this interesting because I find it really interesting. I mean, my gosh. This is our history. People say that they don't think that the challenge would be fair. I think they've gone above and beyond. The only thing that they have to be aware of is that they're not paying the JREF or the CFI-IG or the Australian Skeptics. They're not paying to have you come out for a challenge because then they got a free trip to Vegas, right? So if you believe you have paranormal ability, you need to show up at a place, and it's arranged way ahead of time. You need to show up, and if you don't want to be, I don't want to say embarrassed because I mean she's brave to come on stage and come all the way from wherever she lives to this. She's pretty damn brave. And so um you know, I think that and to be in front of a bunch of skeptics and she's by herself, I tell you, it takes something to do this. Um but what else are you supposed to do? If they say they have this ability, it needs to be tested, obviously, right? Okay. I also wanted to say, I hope you like and comment and subscribe to for more videos. This is a non-monetized video because this is not my work necessarily. So you're watching this completely commercial free. So I hope you appreciate that I do that, every so often, probably every fourth video or fifth video I do. Actually, I've never really paid attention. So if you would please like, comment, and subscribe. That helps out the algorithm. So these get shared more and it makes it so that we have more people we can educate. And I love responding to your comments, especially, you guys who are seeing this for the very first time. I really want to know what you think. And people who were there, let's hear what you have to say, because this is like a walk in the park, reminding you the days of 2009, 16 years ago. Wow. All right, so I'm just going to play it. You guys can watch me play it. And if I pause, I pause. So I don't know what's going on. This is audio only. As I said, I just found it on a disc and I said, oh my God, this is the Mark Edward and Connie Sonne interview that he did. And he was the only one who was allowed to interview her. And he told me some weird stuff that she was into. I don't know if if this is mentioned in the video or if he's just telling, I don't know.
Too far.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, that's fine. Don't even.
It's very cold
That's fine.
and I haven't just replaced it yet.
Okay. So we're rolling, right? So, very nice to meet you.
You too.
So do you want to, ask me any questions first or?
Where did you come from?
Okay.
You were. I can't remember.
Okay, well, I was a professional psychic for 9 years.
Oh, I see.
And I was also, before that, I was a magician. I started out as a magician.
Yeah.
And then I became a mentalist. And then I started doing readings. And then I really was interested, I've always been interested in the whole paranormal realm. So I started working with psychics. So I've been playing both sides of the street.
I can see that. Yes.
So
Okay.
in other words, I work with the skeptics, but I still have an open mind, So, and that's why I wanted to talk to you is because I write a blog. It's because we're working on a television show we're trying to produce. And so I write a blog for it every week. So I wanted to interview you to just sort of ask you some questions about your feelings.
Okay.
So, see where I can start. I guess the first thing is you would agree that everything was fair.
Yeah.
And when you say, like I said, you're saying as if it just wasn't, the time wasn't right, and it's a stepping stone. So it kind of goes to this idea that every experience is there for a reason, kind of an idea.
Sure.
So I guess alongside it, because I personally believe in that too. In other words, the process is more important than the product.
Yeah.
So you're in this process, and I think it's very clear that the process is, could I call it a spiritual process, or is it?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. So it's a spiritual process, and each one of these experiences, it may lead you just down the right alley at the right time. When whatever's going to be revealed will be revealed. So there's a trigger somewhere, and it just didn't happen today, right?
Right.
Okay, so that I got, and I totally understand that, because I think you even said it yourself. You said one day at a time or something like that. Okay, so you also said that before you left Denmark, you felt that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
This wasn't going to happen, did you?
Too. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what was the other one?
Thought, of course, that it would happen because you see.
It wouldn't happen.
Yeah, both.
Yes, we're talking about the particular test.
Yeah.
Okay,
But you see, I've been doing this for nearly 2 years.
right,
And all the stuff about Madeleine McCann, the missing girl,
right,
and the huge story behind that.
right.
Because it's not only her, they
Right.
keep her because of one reason.
So it's wrapped up in some political intrigue.
But last year, from December 2007 until now, it all has cost me about $30,000. I've been traveling 5 times: Portugal, Scotland, England. I met the godparents of Maddie and was in South America just for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I borrowed all the money. So my thought was, because James Randi, I have never heard of him. But last year, when I'm working a lot of the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly, so his name signed up.
Right.
And I thought, oh yeah, it could be 2 things at that time too. It could be like I had to get people's eyes open.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For the first place.
Right.
For the second, because I need money. I mean,
Well, you're honest about that.
All the money.
Yeah.
I'm not, I mean,
you're not independently wealthy.
I didn't care about the money.
Yeah.
But
you still have to eat.
Still have to live in my house without selling it.
Right.
I don't have to pay back my parents and the bank.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That was 2 reasons. But so it's not only.
So you get impressions about people too?
Okay, so I am gonna have to interrupt this every so often because to make sure you guys can understand what she's saying. And it is going into the way that what we found out later. Mark used to tell me about this. So there was a little girl abducted in Spain. Her name is Madeline. All of a sudden lost it. McClary. Anyway, she's still missing. And she was abducted. I think she was 3 or something like that. I think they were English. They're from England at a place in Spain. And the parents and the friends that were there left the children in a hotel room sleeping. And they went to like 2 houses away to a restaurant, and they hung out there, and I guess they had drinks or whatever. And I guess the parent would go and check on them every so often, but it felt very secure and everything be fine. And then I guess somebody went back to check, and the window had been forced open and somebody had taken one of the children, and she's never been found. And that was just phenomenal. Even today, especially, I mean, it's horrible. They think now they know who did it, and the child was gone, because now they think you can look it up. Madeline McMurray, what is her name? Madeline McCain. Anyway, somebody will put it in the comments under this because I can't quite grasp it right now. So she was like a touchstone in the psychic world. People who believed that they had psychic abilities. McCain, I think her name was. They felt that this was like the case of the century, I guess. And it's like John Benet Ramsey, same thing. A little girl who was harmed and murdered in her house on Christmas a bunch of years ago. The psychic world, I guess, the media saturates out there, and these people feel like they're able to solve it, or they have special knowledge. And I guess the same thing is going on with right now with Nancy Guthrie, which we're on day 66, I think now, 67. Oh my gosh. So people get fixated on it. Well, Connie, and I hope it's more clear in this, ends up becoming fixated on this missing little Maddie, she calls her Maddie, and thinks she has special abilities. Okay, now this isn't going to make a lot of sense. So don't expect, it's not my fault that this does not make sense, what I'm about to say. All right. This is what Connie believed, is that Maddie was tied, her disappearance was tied to like a giant conspiracy with, I don't know, the Vatican and the Pope and crime ring, special like predictions of the future and just whatever you can imagine. So I said before that a lot of the people who believe in dowsing and other paranormal things, they're not well mentally. Okay. Now, dowsers tend to be on another side of that spectrum where they're probably functioning just fine and they have fooled themselves. So those people are probably as well as I am, right, mentally. My kids, if they were here, they would be inserting a joke right now. So these are not people who are faking. They believe this. So dowsers, as I said, are just have blinded themselves to knowing more. They do not want to know about the ideomotor effect. They don't want to know about blind testing. They don't want to, that is just like, no, I can do this. I can hold it. I can hold the pendulum and it's telling me where the water is. Always, when you know there is water there, it always says there is water there. See, do you get it? So they always see, this is what's going on with dowsing. Okay. And when you show them, you say, look, we put tight protocols and you never know, you never test this, you never get it right. They say, yeah, but the moon was, the planet was in Venus, or they make an excuse always. But that doesn't have anything to do with mental unwellness. That's just willful ignorance. Okay. Falling for the tricks. And that's like people who believe in psychics, that it's not, they're in grief. They were raised to believe in this kind of nonsense and they refuse to look at evidence and they just want to continue believing it. So that has nothing to do with mental acuity. It has everything to do with willful ignorance, because the information is out there that they could find that would give them the answers. They just don't want to look at the answers. It's better for their mental state to pretend that psychics are real. Okay. But people who say they have these paranormal powers, a good chunk of them are not well mentally. So this woman was a police officer. She's taken out $30,000 in loans from her parents and from other places. So she's traveling to South Africa, to England, to different places because she's investigating, and I use that in quotes, the Madeline disappearance. This is 2009. I think that happened in 2007. I should look that up. What was her name? Let's just type what happened to the missing girl in Spain. And see, that's all I had typed. What happened to the missing girl in Spain? And I knew exactly what I was talking about. Disappearance of Madeleine McCann, McCann. She was abducted in 2007. So this is 2 years before this. So Connie is saying that her abilities happened in 2007. And that's when she, 2 years, she was able to figure out that she has this paranormal ability. And so, yeah, a British missing person at the age of 3 disappeared from her bed in a holiday apartment in Lagos, Portugal. So it wasn't even Spain. It was Portugal. I put in Spain and it comes up to the Wikipedia page. Daily Telegraph described her disappearance as the most heavily reported missing person case in modern history. Her whereabouts remain unknown, although German prosecutors believe she is dead. And as I said, I think they have some idea of who did it. And the person who they think did it is no longer alive himself, because I think he was a known predator of children. And I think he was in the area at the time, and they think that it must have been him. And she ended up somewhere. Anyway, so to be clear, I'm not saying everybody who believes in the paranormal is not mentally well. I'm saying that a good chunk of these people that we tested are mentally unwell. Dowsers are not necessarily unwell. And some people who pretend to be psychics, who think they're psychic, are not unwell, but they're willfully ignorant. But it's like I said, there's a sliding scale, right? Some are way at one end and some are way at the other end, and some are in the middle. You know, you never know where they are. But when you get into the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, we're moving along the scale here to the right side, where it's getting pretty wild, where she may not be able to function in a police department anymore, or in an actual job. So, I don't know what happened to her. Okay, let's go back now that everybody's yelling at me for calling people who believe in paranormal abilities mentally unwell. I did not say that. Okay, if I did, I misspoke. I meant it's a spectrum of it. Okay, let's go back. Continue listening. Oh, and it is kind of hard for me to listen to Mark's voice. I haven't heard this at all before, and it fills me with a lot of emotions listening to his voice. He's been dead a year and a half. So, but I'm glad that we're doing this together and we're preserving this. And as I said, he told me that he was playing kind of on the side of psychics a little bit, because he was trying to get something out of her that he thought wouldn't have shown otherwise.
Intuitive clairvoyance?
I've done this
But you're
before.
getting an impression about me, though, aren't you?
Well, I feel you are a kind person, but I can show you something else afterwards. You have questioned me.
After what?
After you have questioned me, I will show you something
Okay.
and tell you something.
But see, it's interesting because you use the police procedural questioning you. So that it tells me that you definitely take all this very seriously. Because I have to say, I've worked with a lot of psychics, and
That's a lot.
well, I mean that's what we're in this for, is that it's like there's either the outright charlatans, or there's the people who they being us psychics, us, let me get this straight, us skeptics, they feel that they're deluded. Okay. Now I'm not completely decided, and that makes me kind of a outsider to this group, because I think that when you, and I've told this to people myself, I don't know if it's true. Let me see if I sort of just get where you're going here, is that again, it's one process leads to another, and what one door closed today, another door may open. So and we keep coming back to this Maddie thing,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe what we're saying is the way it all works is that you go in one direction and you get a clue to go in the other direction.
Yeah. But
so this isn't that important. A person's life is more important than.
And but all things are stick together.
Right, they're all interconnected.
So therefore you have to move one step at a time.
Right. You can't make a big leap.
Because somebody asked me, why didn't you get Maddie out of there when I first found her in Ismaris, north of Portugal?
Right.
Just south of Portugal.
Right.
Yeah. But I really tried to, in the middle of the night, I climbed 2 walls and tried to, I knew where she was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now when I came home again, and I was back in Portugal in January, then I realized why I didn't get her out of there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because the story was growing more and more, bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
If I did get her out at that time, I didn't knew the rest of the
I
story.
totally understand.
So all the people who are involved,
Yeah.
well, they just can get away with it.
Right.
No.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So I have it's really the truth.
So it's
I
a
can
strength of,
convince you with
and here's
something.
the thing is, no, I don't need to be convinced. I'm just saying you have the strength of your convictions. And I think that if there's a problem with the skeptics is that you call it truth. See? Yeah. But it's not so much truth. It is almost like a vision that you know you have to follow. In other words, I believe in, that you connect the dots, and each time you kind of do an inner journal, then you take this kind of step up the ladder that you're supposed to take, and you can't take 3 steps at a time. So I think that's very hard for.
I know, and I knew it before I came here, of course.
Yeah.
Because you see, when I first, I agreed to protocol and I was on the forum, Get Friendly forum, I did read some of it. I'm not used to do all this and all with big audience and all those.
They were,
things.
and I have to tell you that audience, they were rooting for you. I know they were.
They were
rooting for you. In other words, they were on yours. I think there were more people who were on your side. Did you feel that?
Know, yes, I know. Actually, I know it because before I left, I was on the net writing a little only in April, and then I left it because there's always people who are going to debunk you down into the mud and
before you even get here, right?
Because I don't want to use my energy on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
I use my time.
Right.
So, but sometimes I read what people have said in there,
right?
And I felt, and I could read that many of the skeptic people, they were on my side.
Yeah,
I could read it.
I mean, it's not really a side. I think that it's unfortunate in our society that you're forced to take a side.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people are. I've spent my whole life being interested in all this, so I think that there's a side of some of us, not all of us, that want to have something happen. I got involved with the skeptics because my viewpoint, interview's not about me, but was that if anybody was going to stumble across something, it wouldn't be the new age people and it wouldn't be the psychic community. It's going to be the skeptics because they're willing to set up the protocol. So, so far nothing's happened. So now let's just change gears for a second here.
Okay, I'm going to pause for a second again. That was fascinating. She said, okay, now Maddie disappeared in May 3rd, 2007. So Connie said, I could have gotten her out in January. I could have gotten her out. I knew where she was and I could have taken her out. I could have gotten her out. So I guess she means that she thinks that the child was the person who abducted her, kept her for a while. And that she knew, the story blew up and that she knew where the child was. So she could have gone and gotten her and rescued her, but she didn't because I'm paraphrasing, that she didn't rescue the child because she wouldn't have captured the kidnapper. The kidnapper wouldn't have been caught if she had saved the child, and that she felt it was more important to end this guy's reign of terror by catching him than to save the child that she knew was where the child was located. Talking about ethics. Fascinating. This is going on in her mind, and that she knew where the child was and that she didn't save the child. Right. I think what we know now is the guy who abducted her, used her, abused her, and just got rid of her body like in hours. I think that's what they think, because based on what they know about his movements. And this is only recently, I think they found this out. So Connie is saying that she was held somewhere, and that in January, which must have been 2008 or 2009, she could have rescued her, because so she thinks this guy had her for a period of time, a year or more, because if the little girl is taken in May of 2007, and Connie said that she knew in January, so it'd be 2008 or 2009, because she's recording this interview in the summer of 2009, that he held on to her for a while. And I think we know enough to know that that was not true. Absolutely not true. So this is really sad. And she's traveling around. I don't really understand why she's going to South Africa and different places. I think she said she was in Portugal. Didn't she say she went to Portugal? And I don't know. We'll see if it makes it more clear in a minute.
Because I was very much I was an animal trainer for many years.
Okay.
And I was very much involved with animal telepathy.
Okay.
And this is way before this whole pet psychic thing happened, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've always loved animals, and I've always had, I mean, we all have these sort of second sight experiences with them. So I noticed that you did say that, but you're not saying you talk to them, you're just saying you understand them. Or do they talk to you?
So,
But did they help you?
there must be something here.
Yeah.
Well, you see, we have two type of people here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
One third can do something. Many of them don't know they can.
Right.
They can, yeah, but it's not the time yet. One.
Yeah, so
time.
Okay, hold on. I have to pause because my son's calling me. So that's just a blip in time to you, but it was 40 minutes of me speaking to my son, who was at this actual Connie Sonne event. He says, I was sitting right with you, and I watched the whole thing. He says, that was just amazing. And everybody was so quiet. And so he was reminding me of it. He went to tell me that he'd gone to see Project Hail Mary, and we're comparing our notes. He hadn't read the book. So he was asking me questions about what happened. Anyway, let's go back to where we are. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen, am I? No, I'm not. I'm just going to play it.
Yeah.
They're not ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
because of several reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But one third of the human being, but also one third of the animal. You know, many times people are wondering why the dolphins can do like that, why the dog can do like that.
Right, yeah, right.
I don't know, whatever.
Whales.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
All kind of parts of the animal. One third of them are coming from the same place as one third of the human being. But the 2/3 of the population here on Earth and the 2/3 of the animals are like the sign that they are coming from Earth, you know, like the
earthbound,
or
whatever,
but not the 1/3.
Yeah.
They're coming to live again and again and again and again.
So what?
And all of us, also the people from Earth, if you can put it in that way,
Earthbound.
Yeah.
So what?
So I think what she's saying is a third of animals and humans are reincarnated, and they have special gifts or whatever. I think that's what she's saying. 2/3 are not. I'm hearing this for the first time, you guys. Write this in the comments, your thoughts, because
This stuff really started to happen 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And was there anything you can remember? Like, I mean, Geller says, you know, he got hit on the head, or I mean, you didn't have any traumatic thing happen or anything like that. I mean, you must have, did the switch come on? You know what I mean? Did all of a sudden?
I can tell you what happened because
Okay.
I have been living in a sort of country house in
Lowland? No.
No.
Like, I'm familiar with Lowland. Yeah.
You know Lowland?
A little bit, Neisted,
Oh,
Lowland.
I see. No, it's a little island called Bornholm.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearby Sweden, actually.
Okay.
Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But
Oh, it's by Poland.
yeah, if you have,
Trying to look at the map in my-
New Zealand and
Yeah.
Copenhagen.
Yeah,
If you take the ferry from Copenhagen to Bornholm, the
Right.
island,
yeah.
it takes about 6 or 7
Okay, I'm
hours
visual. I see what you're talking about.
to the east.
Yeah.
Poland and Sweden and the
Okay.
old East Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, but I've lived there for 10 years now. But when I have lived there for 4 years at that time, something began to happen in my house. And I was a little bit afraid of it because, you know, many people talking about ghosts and spirits
Right.
and so on.
Right.
And something
If
began.
you were a police officer though,
Yeah.
so weren't you skeptical yourself?
No, because I could see it happen, you know. I
Yeah.
had pets. I had a lot of pets myself.
Right,
And some of the people who coming to my house, they could also see what going to happen.
with the
So,
animals.
Not only the animals,
Yeah.
but the pictures were falling down the walls and the very special sounds at night
Mhm.
and the stuff, many things. And things you can, well, take in your hand and feel.
Right,
You can see it real. I knew it was not only in my head. It
Mhm.
was. I saw it.
Mhm.
But the first couple of weeks or so, I was afraid.
Mhm.
But when I looked at my pets,
Mhm.
I did see they were not afraid.
Oh,
So
okay.
I do not have to be afraid if my pets are all right.
Right,
So it was okay. And
okay,
nearly every day something was going to happen. Sometimes if my parents was behind my house, we heard footsteps, there wasn't anybody and
but the animals were responding to that like
Yeah.
they were hearing it too,
Yeah,
okay.
right. But for 4 years, I thought it was ghosts. But I felt lately, till the end, that it was okay because they were not going to hurt me or
Right.
my pets or
So they're
something
part of
else.
this process we're
Yes,
talking about.
yes. But suddenly, for October 2007, I had a crystal ball hanging in my window.
Right,
And a friend told me, do you know what you can do with that one? You can dance.
right.
No, I have never
But
tried.
they were a dowser themselves?
He was,
Right,
but not very much.
Right.
Okay,
You just-
I could see sometimes it just moved a little and so
Right.
on. But I have never read about it. Of course, I knew that in thousands of years, the
Yeah.
people did it. But,
right.
well.
So let me ask you that in relation to that.
Mhm.
Is it a yes, no? Because usually if it swings in a circle, it's a no, and it's a
Yeah.
yes if it goes. So is that what you were doing today?
Yeah, yeah, because I.
Oh, you go clockwise, Twitter
Clockwise,
counterclockwise, yeah,
it means yes. And,
Okay.
and the upside is,
right, the opposite,
yeah.
counterclockwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things I said to Vanacek is, I thought the protocol was perfect, but I thought they should have had an overhead looking down because the audience could not see.
Okay, you couldn't see.
Doesn't make any difference. It was just purely a showmanship thing. You could see them moving, and believe me, everyone was focused on it because they had it on a big screen. But you know how in cooking shows they have that big mirror that's tilted
Yeah.
in our card dealing shows, so you could see the tabletop.
Okay.
Because when he said put it in a horseshoe, all we could see was a flat, and you could see that the pendulum was moving, but you couldn't see whether it was
I see that.
and that's why leads me to my next question is, I felt like you were getting, skeptics hate the term energy, but it seemed like you were getting a surge every once in a while. In other words, you were very focused, and then suddenly it was as if there was a concentration of you surged. But the energy is not coming from you, it's coming from outside.
You're right. The energy is coming from outside.
Right,
Many doctors believe that it's through the person.
right.
No, not at all. It comes from outside. Yes, everybody can dance. Everybody.
No, I have pendulums of my own.
Yeah.
I have a whole set of different pendulums. Okay, so I'm almost done.
Well, I gave one to buy myself.
What's that?
a pendulum.
Oh, okay.
And he did it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know all about them. But again, I think I wrote a blog about the ideomotor response. And again, the ideomotor response is worth looking into, but it's science's way of describing the mind.
But you know what? Sometimes it was that far I told him friendly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's true, but not only that. I mean, sometimes it's true with that.
Right. But
But
you can't make it happen. Wouldn't you agree to that? You can't, these things we're talking about,
Yeah.
you can't make them happen.
Only
They
if you,
happen when they're gonna happen.
yeah, you're right. Only if you're allowed to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you leave the door open,
It is true.
are we rushing for another interview or? So,
Much longer.
oh, 5 minutes. Even if So I was just,
My thing you gave me?
no, I know all about something. I know more than I wanna know. You know?
Don't finish the slide.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the animals, I see what you're saying here. So I guess the bottom line is all these things are connecting, and I've actually told people this, and I know the people who are skeptics who are listening to this will just say, "Oh, Mark, what's wrong with you?"
Oh,
But-
Mark, what's wrong with you?
It is I think it's a valid way to look at things, that all these experiences are leading to something. And since it came, and again, I'm filling in the fictional blanks for some of the skeptics out there who may not be aware of this point of view, because I've been there and I've seen it for many other people, is that these things that may be happening, that Connie is trying so hard to tell us about, stem from the idea that something's happening. She's not got all the pieces of the puzzle, and it's quite possible that once you get the final piece of the puzzle, it'll go away.
Yeah.
So whatever's happening is not, in other words, you don't want to be a career psychic.
No, it's not
You'd
my
be
baby.
perfectly happy to stay in your house in Denmark. You don't want to be on Larry King, or you don't want to see dead people or anything. Yeah.
No. But I do know something. I know how the story is going to end. I do know that.
You do.
Yes, I know.
So you'll solve, so that's what I'm saying. You know deep down that there's some big ending, not ending, but resolution to whatever's going on.
We only had 3.5 years.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, till the
Yes.
12? Till the 2012 or
Yeah,
something?
right.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
believe in the 2012 thing?
Yeah, and I found, at my home, when I'm not strong.
Okay, I'm going to pause it again because I'm not sure that everybody is able to hear and follow her very well, and or the thing she's referring to. So this is recorded in 2009, and she is just admitted that she believes that in the year 2012, something devastating is going to happen. It was the Mayan calendar thing. And that, so the Mayans, this group of people who lived in South America, had a calendar, and their calendar supposedly stops at 2012. And so a lot of New Age people believed that after 2012, something was going to happen, something amazing, because the Mayans supposedly knew. Look it up, you guys. So as I'm saying, it doesn't have to make sense because I'm just reporting what she's saying, explaining. So, all right. So she believes that there was ghosts in her house. So something's going on with this woman, that she was a police officer for a while, living on her own, an island somewhere in Denmark off the coast, and that her life probably was going well because she's a police officer. That's, but for some reason, Mark's trying to get at it. What was it that kind of clicked in her? What made her change her mind? Cat comes in and yells at me. Because I've skipped lunch too. So she starts experiencing, she lives alone, but with pets. And she starts experiencing things that she thinks are ghosts. and that was scary to her. And then people came over, and I guess her parents came over, and they started seeing it too. And she says it was tangible, things you could touch were happening. Okay, I don't know what that means, but whatever. And then, so you can see this escalating, right? Then finally, uh, she's, what did you say, a crystal ball? What was it she said that her friend who doused saw and said you should try that because you can douse with that, and she didn't know what dowsing was? I don't remember what it was she said, but he saw something in her house and said, oh, that is something you can use for dowsing. And she's like, well, what's dowsing? And then he went and he told her he had been a dowser, but not currently so much. And he showed her how to do it. And so she learned the very simple form of yes is a circle or no is a line. And it's interesting too, because they've tested people who don't know how to douse or anything of the sort. And they tell them, if you get a circle, that means yes. If you get a back and forth, that means no. And then they give them a series of questions. And then they bring in another person, totally separate. And they tell them, if you get a circle, that means no. If you get a straight across, that means yes. And they're able to see that if the person knows in their mind which is supposed to be yes and which is supposed to be no, and especially if they know the answer, like, is it daytime or nighttime right now? They're going to get a circle or they're going to get a line depending on what they think is yes. So they've tested that this is coming from the person's mind who's using micro movements in their hands that they're probably not even aware of. Plus the fact that you've got this long, I mean, they don't douse like this with like holding something really close like this. It involves a longer kind of swingy, something that swings with a heavier part at the bottom, and their hand is up, like, hold it up. Sometimes it's got like she did, she was using her elbow to stabilize herself. But I've seen people, and I think I have a woman on our channel that she was really upset at me because she's going like this, and you can see it. She's like, is it yes? And you can see her hand moving. It's so stupid. I mean, seriously. Good gracious, people. I guess I'm in that mindset that I cannot understand. I mean, I get it if you're in some emotional state, you're very vulnerable, you're grieving, and then you have this background of people who have been raised in this way, thinking this is natural, they believe in this religious aspect. I guess I get that to some extent. But how do you become an adult and not understand that you are controlling it? How could you have tested this somehow? Given a question that you don't have the answer to. I mean, when we were kids, you guys remember this? We would do this over our hands like this. And it would be like, how many babies am I going to have? Or what's the guy's name I'm going to marry? A, B, C, and whatever the guy was you had a crush on in elementary school, that would be the name that would come up. And we doused to the alphabet or, counting or whatever. But here you have your hand and you have this dangly thing over your hand. But I think most of you guys probably have gone with that. Make sure you please tell me in the comments. I want to hear about when you doused as a kid. I mean, you grow up, right? You grow up and you go, oh my God, we were so silly. Gee, that was fun. Those are good memories. I remember, whatever, and you remember the kids you had a crush on, and you remember you're hanging out with your friends and you're all giggling and you're laughing about how many babies you're going to have or how old you will be when you get married or what his name was. We were really silly, but I'm assured most people did this. I don't know, do guys do this? I mean, because it was girls. That's what it was. It was all a group of giggling girls. So I don't know if guys did that. I mean, do how many cars you're going to own, or I don't think you were thinking about sex at like 7. Sure hope not. It got complicated really quickly. Sorry. My point is that how do you become an adult and believe this when it's so obvious? I mean, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something in the brain is wrong because that is not, that's not adulting. You're not adulting well. And if she had been a police officer for a while, and then she goes to this ghost and then goes to the pendulums, and then she's at Madeline McCain and animals talking and she can communicate with whales and everything else. Something's going on, which might be why I don't know what happened to her. Does anybody know what happened to Connie Sonne? Sonne. Please see if you can get back to me and tell me. Okay, so he said 5 minutes, like 3 minutes ago. So it's 10 minutes. Thanks for bearing with me, you guys. Like I said, I have not heard this. And it's really, really good to have somebody listening to this with me, especially because it's Mark. And that's very emotional for me. I love hearing his voice. Yeah, I want to get through these. And if I have you guys here helping me out, it feels good. And as far as I know, this video is nowhere. And that's what my son just told me. He says, wait a minute, there's audio of him interviewing her about her beliefs and what went wrong. He says, I don't think the JREF ever put that out. I said, well, it's not Mark. He's not the one recording this. Jeff Wag. I can hear Jeff Wag on the audio. And he set it up for Mark because Mark wouldn't have done this. He would have interviewed her, but it wouldn't have been recorded, I don't think. And I wasn't there. So I wonder if Jeff made a copy of it for Mark and it just never made it to the JREF for whatever reason. Like, I don't think it's out. I don't think this exists anywhere. So, Jeff and I are friends. I know him still. So I suppose I could ask him, but it was just fascinating that I found it and it was on a CD. And so I don't know. 2009, Jeff must have just copied it on who knows?
I'm at my home,
Right.
but I'm working with my computer and I have evidence it's too huge to tell you about this
I
now.
understand.
But all those things behind Madeleine McCann
Right.
and another story about 2012,
Yeah.
it's all connected.
Right.
I have 1 meter and 70 in papers with just evidences. I have to write now. When I come home,
So you do
I have to
automatic
write.
write? Is automatic writing or?
No, not at all.
It's evidentiary. Yeah.
Yeah, how our world.
Well, you're not saying you go
No.
in trance or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
What?
Well, automatic writing, traditionally a medium would go into a trance and they would just write and write and write and write. So this is very conscious contact.
Yeah, when people are talking about paranormal and so on, well, I just call me a contact person, and I do know why it's me. I do know why.
Why?
Yeah, you ask
Are you-
the question now,
But in other words, you have been given a mission in life.
yeah, right. Also in this life, yes. But I didn't know until 2 years ago.
Right.
And I can tell you something, because when I began to find out how the world is built, not about them, I mean behind us and all this stuff,
Right.
but about our world.
Our role as humans, our role as humans.
What the governments are trying and will do by controlling it all.
Right.
And
you're not saying this comes down to a conspiracy theory, are you? Okay, I'm not trying to box you in there. I'm just.
I can tell you one thing.
Yes.
It's not a theory. It is true. It is true.
Right.
Some of those people who are behind it and knows it's like a pyramid.
Yeah.
If you take the top, only a few people knows about it all, and then you go on and on and on, and all the people down here, the normal people.
How do you fit into the pyramid?
What?
You're on the outside of the pyramid looking.
Yeah. Yes. So it is true, but I can tell you, some of those people who know about it all, they call themselves conspiracy theorists.
Right.
But they are insiders. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It will come out. I promise you. It's
So I mean, this obviously is a very, it's a visionary experience in your experience you have. So do you paint or do you do any other forms of visualization to get this out? In other words, how are you accessing this information? Not with playing cards, obviously.
In my head.
Yeah.
Of course, every time I get something, some evidence is in my hand.
Right.
I goes on and on. And about Medicaid, I have been to several governments and police and military and
Right.
yeah,
But
everything.
right.
But the media, they are part of the government. There are no free speech.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. No, not the media, but what about the police everywhere and so on?
Right.
The man on the earth, he don't know a clue, but the top do know something about it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's all about those things I told you before about 2012, 2012, and this. It has something to do with Maddie because she's not only a little girl. No.
Right.
She's 1 year older. They lied. They had lied with so many things.
1 year old?
She's 7.
Okay.
Yeah. But another thing.
She's so in 2012 she'll be.
What?
So she's 7 now. In 2012 she will be. She'll be 12.
No, 11.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like a chosen one or something like that.
Yes, and of course there's a reason for that. That's the real reason. But why do it have to be me?
Yeah, and the question is, I mean, some of the people who I've met that have this this gift or think they have this gift, no offense, man. That is a sin. You're not afraid of this.
No.
In other words, these governments aren't. They're not looking for you or anything. They're not going to burst in here and take you away.
No, not at all. Because I know what's behind me.
Right.
And there's a lady.
Okay.
What's going on? You see, I have to tell you something.
Now, this is audio or video?
Okay, wait, I don't know what she's going to go with. I'm looking to see if I have emails from Connie and Mark's phone. Oh, because I know that he said he communicated with her after. I don't see it in here. Who knows? It might not be by this name. I'm looking to see if there's any other correspondence between them because yeah, I'm not seeing anything. But it could be something. Maybe I'll find it in records somewhere else. But okay, so she says she's not a conspiracy theorist, but she's a conspiracy theorist. She believes that the police aren't in on it, the government's in on it, whatever it is, and then Madeline was a chosen child, and that she herself, Connie, is chosen, and she needs the money to continue traveling and so she can live I'm not quite sure if what it is, if she's looking for the kidnapper to stop him, because she isn't looking for the child, because she says she knows where the child was at least. And so it's tied to 2012 and governments, and I don't know, have we gotten to mind control yet? Perpetual motion machines or anything like that? I hate to be frivolous and funny about it, but yeah, we're at that point. She's lost it. Fascinating how people can have these beliefs and still function, able to book a flight and function. But is there a word for this? Functionally, I know you guys are probably all saying, oh, I have a family member that is really into the MAGA cult, or I have a family member that believes that people are space aliens, or lizard people, and they function, they have a job, they drive a car, they, register their car for license plates, and they have a valid license, and they compartmentalize things. I don't know. Is that possible? I mean, I do have some friends, some people I've known that are just out there. I have a friend that's been in my house many times and had meals with me with other people, and believes that he is a descendant of Paul from the Bible. I mean, he has a connection. He links connection, this to 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 him. You don't want to get into those kind of conversations because they get really convoluted, kind of like what this is going on with Connie. But I mean, he could drive, he keeps a job, he took care of his mom. He functions, balances checkbook, I guess. I don't balance my checkbook anymore, but you know, that theory of you can do these things. You guys tell me. You probably know better than I do. I just don't think this is healthy. I think this is not somebody that, I mean, remember Beautiful Mind? Did you guys watch that movie or read the book? Fascinating, fascinating. So it's only like 15 years old, so I'm going to blow it for you. So he's seeing, his mind isn't well. He's a brilliant mathematician, scientist, and everything else, but he is finding conspiracy theories, and he's got pictures up all of the wall with string on it and everything like that. Another thing he was having is he was having delusions where he was seeing people. He and having conversations with them. He'd see the person right there. And in his case, he was seeing the same persons. Like there would be a character of this one guy and then a little girl. And then, so there was a few people in his life. There was a guy who was sketchy, like a Men in Black kind of guy that worked for the government. So he would have conversations with them, and they always seemed to be wearing the same clothes, I think. And he finally figured it out that they never aged. The little girl always was a little girl, even years and years and years later. And so he finally figured out that what people were telling him, that these people, that what you're seeing is not real. And he got on medication, but he wanted to get off the medication because the medication is making him not feel really well. So he was able to say, those people that I am talking to that feel very real, I've never touched them. That was another thing. He'd never touched them. They're just there hanging out with him. That they really weren't real. But there's a point in the movie, at least, where he has a little baby boy. He's married, and he starts going off his meds completely. And this is before he finally realized that they're never aging and they're not real. So he just ended up ignoring them, which is fascinating. He just ignored them. He'd still see them, but he would ignore them. But at one point, he's there in the house with his baby, and he's going to give the baby a bath. So he takes the baby upstairs, runs the water, and the mother comes in, and she's like hanging out clothes on the line. She goes, "Where's the baby?" He goes, "Oh, he's getting a bath." She's like, "Why are you here? And the baby is getting a bath. What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Oh no, I left him with the name of the guy that was a delusion." She runs up the stairs, and the baby's in the bath, and it's laying down and it's getting ready to drown. The water hadn't gotten high enough, and the baby was on its back, I think. And that's when she just like freaks out. And that's where I'm talking about. How do you believe these things and are a competent human adult that you trust with things? Because, I mean, how do you judge their, I mean, if with their medications, how do they measure medications? How do you know that they're not, I mean, to trust them with your child or whatever, if they have these kinds of beliefs? I mean, I'm asking a question. I don't really have an answer to it. I just don't think that these people who are this unwell necessarily are safe, or unless, of course, they're on some kind of medication and they're checked, and and they have supervision to see that they stay on whatever medication they're on, and they see the doctor regularly and so on. I just don't know. I just was reading I know I keep going on tangents, but yeah. I was just reading an article about a man who lives in Europe and he lives in America, and he's writing about his brother who's 70, who keeps falling for romance scams. And he says he's falling for them because, they give him a lot of attention. And he's trying to explain to his brother that they're not real. They're AI bots, or maybe they're held in like they're forced to do this kind of stuff or whatever. They're getting money off of you. And the brother keeps asking for money for food and for other things from the guy who's in America. And he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, the man is not taking care of himself medically. And if he's sending all his money, which he was, to these romance women, fake women, and we've explained to him over and over that they're not real, and he just keeps relying on me for more money, and he's giving up his medical stuff, money for medicine or money for whatever he needs, and his money for food. Should I continue? I love my brother and I want to have a relationship with him. Should I continue sending him money, knowing he's probably going to use it for, these delusional beliefs? And the person who's writing the advice column is like, well, you could try, he's lonely. Why don't you introduce him to other people and try to help him out with relationships? Is he belong to a church? He could go and talk to people there or whatever. I'm like, no, this isn't safe for him to be in so far away, and expect him to understand that when you're bored, you don't just start talking to a woman on the internet who is not real. Again, it's that willful ignorance. Is it willful? Where does it cross from willful ignorance to mentally unwell and probably need a conservatorship or something going on? At least a really good assessment by a medical doctor, and possibly medication or something. I don't know. You guys tell me. I don't have the answer. Here we go. We're at the home stretch. 5 minutes.
It's audio.
Okay,
It's a document, it's for a computer only.
Okay.
It's a document, I have written some things there.
Okay.
I have to say something, because when I went to Portugal in 2007, the only things I knew before I left, I should bring my dog. He actually found me.
what kind of dog?
Collie, big collie, Scottish,
Border collie?
Yeah, no, not a border collie, but the big red and white, the long.
Oh,
Yeah.
yellow coated collie.
Yeah.
Oh, I have such an attachment to those dogs.
Yeah, okay.
So I know exactly what you mean.
But one of the dogs before.
Yeah.
So the only things I knew was what time. Sometimes I can't tell the time because, of course, I knew what time I had to leave Denmark. Of
Right.
course, I got it.
Right.
I did rent a car, of course, with my dog. And before I left, I bought like this recorder for my computer. I always travel with my laptop. So that was it. I was there 3 days, and then I came to the little town in Unreleased. My dog was going to pee, and suddenly he rushed with me in the spring afterwards. He rushed over. My house here, there was a ground with grass, and there was a street over here. So he rushed over the ground here, over to the next street, and over to the second house. And I knew Maddie is there.
Really?
And yeah, it's true. Then I should find a hotel.
Right.
And I did. It was evening at that time. And I was told, tomorrow you are going, because Ismarit is a kind of summer houses. Some of the houses, there's living people.
Right.
Some of the houses for rich people, it's a
once a year or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And beside the house where Maddie was, there was a summer house. And I saw there was a ground of grass here, and I could climb the wall, and up there was a staircase at the outside. And from there you could just look into the next backyard.
Right.
Only 5 meters away.
Yeah.
And I was told, bring your recorder,
Right.
and you will get something.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah,
I just waited 1 hour, then I heard Maddie, and I saw the man. I was looking.
and that's
down.
on this,
Yeah, but you have to hear something more.
okay.
I recorded it,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to use some very good speakers
Right,
because there is some noise on it, and you have to focus
yeah,
on the
scream it
voice,
out, yeah,
right?
right,
You can hear a man and you can hear Maddie.
right,
And Maddie, she's saying one of the things, why it means double kick. I heard she was being got kicked twice.
mm-hmm,
When she said the word double kick,
yeah,
when you play that slowly, you know the normal speed is 1.0.
right,
If you go down to 0.6, I
Right.
have the document. It tells
Yeah.
everything. I have
Okay,
written it,
okay, yeah.
okay? If you do that, another voice, and it's not mine, mine,
Right.
behind me.
It's your spirit guide or something.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
spirits, they are physically.
Okay,
Yeah, okay. But then the voice tells a double kick, Maddie,
right,
why you go away
right,
when you play it slowly. And the man, when you play it the normal speed, he says, because they punished you, he told Maddie.
right.
When you play it slowly, he is hurting me here.
Is this giving me evidence? We may be solving a murder mystery here.
Yeah.
So I would like to thank, I would like to thank Connie for the interview, and I think, Clark's going to find it very interesting. And, I wish you luck with your process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Okay, take it. So there's nothing you want to tell me before I go?
It will come sometime, somehow.
But what about me?
What? You can give me your email address.
I will. I'll give you my card. You can look at my stuff one of these days.
So Mark, if the heptologist takes off here.
Well, that's fascinating. Oops.
You're on other.
That was fascinating. Okay, so let me give you a little more background. Bart Farkas was the guy who Mark referred to at the very end. Bart supposedly was writing a book on the $1 Million Challenge, the James Randi $1 Million Challenge. I don't know whatever happened to Bart. I think he's in Canada now. I don't really know, but no book. Okay, that was 2009, no book. Somebody should. That was really interesting. So I guess that's what we were recording this for, is for Mark to write a blog and for Bart to use for the book that never went anywhere. So that might be why this has never been released. It's because they expected that Bart was going to do something with it. Okay, like I said, I don't know what happened to him. No idea. But I did know him in 2009, 2010, 2011, I think. Okay, so as I said, this is probably very controversial that Susan is saying this thing, that I believe that these people who really truly believe this kind of stuff, this is not, you can't reason with them. There's no reasoning with them. I mean, it's not like The Beautiful Mind where you can finally reason with the guy and say, the people you are seeing are not there. And you know this because they never age, and the rest of the humans around you age. You know, your child, you can see them grow up, you know they are real. But these people that are in your mind only, they do not, you cannot reason with these kinds of people. I just don't think it's reason what's going on. It's some sort of imbalance, some injury to the brain. And what is happening, maybe psychotic, from maybe she being a police officer, she just saw way too much or something. I don't know. But here she has admitted that she has been in Portugal and her dog had to go pee. And she takes her dog and it goes to a wall where there's a hostel or like a vacation home. And she knows that Maddie's in that vacation home. So she scales the wall and has a recorder and climbs up the wall and records voices. And that in the voices, the little girl is saying the word double kick. And when you listen to the phrase double kick, it's something else is happening, I guess. So it's an EVP. So that's where your brain makes sense of nonsense, like the shower, the water falling in the shower or rain. They hear noises in that sound, or like the static on TV, or radio dial stuff. Or we had a person from the paranormal world who believed that he was snoring, and he recorded his snores all night, and then he could hear in the sounds of the snoring that it was actually words in the snoring sound. So I kid you not. And apparently he had a wife and child and functioned somehow, but man, he snored. Oh my gosh. So Connie gives Mark a copy of this audio of Maddie. Now, I remember this now, that he said he had that. So she must have given it to him. Where it is, I don't know. I've got almost all of his cassettes I've copied. The reel-to-reel tapes would have been way too old, and those are already copied. I have some micro cassettes, but I don't think they're on there. It sounds like it's on a CD or it's on a cassette, or maybe it's audio, just like it was on his, like she emailed it to him. But he kind of sounded like, I have it. Didn't he make it sound like she gave him a copy and said, here? I don't know, because whenever Bart Farkas or Jeff Wag comes back in the room, whoever it was, he says, we have the evidence right here. Like, I thought that's what Mark said. Like she had handed him, here, listen to this. And I know, like I said, that they communicated a few more times. I'm going to put the blog back up in the description of this overly long video. And you guys can read it. And you can also go online and see what you can find out. And if you can find out stuff about her, I'd be really interested in that as well. Like what happened to her. Did she finally get help? I don't know. Joe Mark has a really good health system over there. So maybe, because this is not healthy for you to be climbing walls in towns, strange towns, because you're hearing voices, or you have a feeling that a kidnapped child is kept in the house. I mean, that's dangerous. That's extremely dangerous, right? In this case, nothing apparently happened of it, but that is beyond unhealthy and very dangerous to themselves and to the household, as well as the reputation of the household, whoever's in there. And if the police were called and, they came in saying that there's a child held there against their will, I mean, it's all dangerous, and it's damaging. If there was a child in there talking, which is probably most likely, if there's a child in there talking, you would think they'd be speaking Portuguese, wouldn't you? Not English, but that's beside the point. If there's a child in that household and police rush in, that's not healthy for that child. So, this world of the paranormal that I've been immersed in for so long, it's fascinating. I don't think explaining it to people is going to have any benefit. I don't, for people who are already fully believing like this, I don't think it's going to help. But it can help, I think, maybe have a little more sympathy for these people who are experiencing this very real phenomenon. They think it's real, and that's part of the problem, being dangerous. So let me give you one more instance. So another person we tested for when it was the IIG, was a young man whose family, he was American, but his family was Chinese. And the reason that's important is because his parents believed in Chinese medicine, Chinese herbs and stuff like that. So this young man, he was 30, and he was working on a golf course. He loved golfing. And he applied to the IIG because he said that he could hear people's thoughts if they were, and so they said, let's test him, okay. So they brought him in. And the protocol was that, in fact, I wasn't there this day. I just remember reading a lot about it. And of course, Mark was there. So Mark was the magician that the IIG used to look for sleight of hand or somebody's trying to cheat or never anybody ever tried to cheat. Never. They were never fooling. They all believed it. So they gave him a list of words, like 100 words that were like nouns, and he had to prove them that he could hear them. And so it was a 2-story building. So they went into the bottom part of the floor and they took mattresses and covered up an area. And they had volunteers that he agreed to. He said, I have a good rapport with that person. So that's the person right there who's going to say the word. I think it was say the word and think the word. And it was all, they had cameras filming this. And then the guy, the golfer, would be in a other part of the building on a stage. There's no way he could hear. It's like way far apart. And he was gonna be on the stage, and then they had it timed like with walkie-talkies. So the people with the mattresses would say, okay, here comes the word. And then I think there was 3 people sitting there. And then they'd all pick up the word and they'd look at it and they'd really think about it. And the next one to pick up the word and think about it. And the next one to think about it. And then they use the walkie-talkie and say, okay, they're done. And then supposedly he's supposed to be listening to their brains. And then he would be on stage and he was going to write down the word, I think, that he heard. I think he failed after 2. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Now here's where it comes to my part of the story. So they interviewed him afterwards. Now he brought his father to this. His father had no idea what was going on. He didn't know his son was being tested for anything. He told his father nothing. He just like, Dad, come with me. So the dad is like, what the heck is going on? He's from China and he spoke English. So they were still trying to explain to him that he was trying to prove that he could hear voices that were far away. And the father said, well, one of the things they sat him down, they said, his name is Paul. Is it Paul? Peter, something like that. So they sent Peter down. And I know there's a few of you screaming, come on, didn't you know his name? And I think this investigation's on the Independent Investigation Group, or CFIIG's website. And they asked the guy ahead of time, are you on any kind of medications? And it turns out he's on a medication for schizophrenia, or he had been on a medication for schizophrenia. Now, here's the thing. His parents took him off of the medication. His sister had made him go to the doctor, and they'd taken him off of the medication because they wanted to use Chinese herbs. And that's when the voices started coming back. And they weren't there when he was taking the medication. And he knew this rationally. He says, yeah, there was no voices. And then whenever I stopped taking it so I could take this Chinese medicine, then that's when it started coming back. Obvious to us, right? No, not to the parents and not to Peter. He's doing what his parents told him to do because he's a good son. He's not going to challenge his father because that's not what you do. And he trusted the fact that they knew better and they took this medication. Now it gets even worse. So here's what Peter was telling us afterwards. He says, I don't know why it didn't work, because this always works. I hear people's voices, but it's only when they're talking. Here's the problem. Here's why it didn't pass. You were just saying random words, right? That I agreed to, that I could hear. See how the story changes, right? They've got the protocol set up. Now it's changing. And now Peter can only hear the words if it is somebody talking about him. So imagine this. You've got this perfectly fine man, except he has schizophrenia, working and functioning in life. It is not time to eat yet. Just calm down, girlfriend. It's only 3. And they come in to shout at me. I haven't had lunch, so they're wondering why they haven't eaten lunch. So hold on, I'm almost done. Welcome to my world. I'm hearing voices. So, and I'm not belittling that because that's serious shit. Okay, so here's this guy functioning in life. He's walking on the beach and he sees two women over there who are walking on the beach, and they kind of look at him because he looks at them funny or whatever. He knows they're talking about him. And he says, he told the IIG, he can tell it if they're talking about him in a negative way. So now here he is trying to function in life, and he thinks that people walking around are having negative thoughts about him, like thinking bad things of him. How safe is that to those women walking who have no idea that they're looking at a guy who thinks they're having that he's hearing bad things? He has no way of rationalizing this in his mind where he can say, oh no, of course I'm really not hearing their brain. I'm not hearing anything. They're just glancing at me because I happen to be looking at them and we're walking by in the beach. How dangerous could that be for those women, or that if it's a single woman there alone and this guy comes up and attacks her or confronts her or whatever? How dangerous is that? It's super dangerous, not only to the women or the woman or even a man taken off guards, but this guy can't function. He can't do anything. He ended up eventually losing his job because he couldn't, function. And his parents are just pushing this nonsense on him. And then another kicker, another surprise to the story. I'm glad you waited till the very end to listen to this story. Here's what the father said, because Mark, and they also had a psychiatrist that worked with them. So they had Mark as the mentalist magician looking for tricks, and then had a psychiatrist to watch everything. See, you can see her. She's moving. There is a cat there. I'm not talking to myself. And I'm going to touch her. Where are you? She exists. She exists. I touched her. So they talked to the father and explained to him what was going on. Your son is hearing voices. He says he was diagnosed. He's on this medication, and the psychiatrist knew that medication was for schizophrenia, because I think that's how they figured it out. And they told the father, your son thinks that he's hearing negative thoughts from people, and he's not hearing real voices. And this is dangerous, and you should get your son some help. And the father said, oh, well, he had to drop out of college because he wasn't doing well, but we're going to send him to a Christian school now, because you can, in the world of the Christian faith, you can hear voices, and that's acceptable and even considered a good thing if you hear voices. I kid you not. True story. So here is this guy who's going to be forced to go to a Christian college, hearing voices, and sent there by his parents, who thought this is special to hear voices, and that it would be a good thing for him to hear voices, and they would embrace that at the church and the school. Right? So they told him he had to wait. Philip, his name is Philip Lee. That's it. Philip Lee, Lee. All of a sudden came to me. So Philip Lee applied. They said you can't apply for the challenge, the paranormal challenge they had, until it's been a full year. So at a full year, he came back and he applied again. And I believe Wendy will know all the details. Wendy, are you there? Wendy Hughes? I think she was the one who was handling him. They said that I think he came back with another claim, and I don't remember what happened with that. He said he wasn't able to work, and I don't think he was able to go to college. It would have probably been a good thing for him to go to college, because I guess in the college they would figure out he needs medication. This guy is not well. This is not healthy. We can't have him at the university. And he should have been forced to get onto something, I guess, because that's dangerous, right? To himself and to society. So I think he's still around. It's been a few years. But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it. This belief in the paranormal is all well and good to an extent, but then it gets to a point where it gets to be unhealthy for the person as well as the society at large. And the IIG would say, we don't know if the thing they're saying they have, this paranormal power they have, is because they have mental illness, or the paranormal ability has given him mental illness, or what. I mean, they tested this guy who was drunk off his ass. I mean, completely drunk. That's a whole nother story. I'll have to tell you another day. And they're like, should we do this test or not? And Jim, who was in charge, said, how do we know that he might need to be drunk to do the test? And that is part of the reason why he's able to have the paranormal power. So we have to test him because that's what he says. So he's drunk and about to puke all over us during the test, but he manages to hold it together and fail the test in a few minutes, but it was pretty awful. See? Anyway, I am so glad you got to sit with me and listen to Mark interview this woman. He did over talk a little bit, but I miss him. So it was kind of cool to hear him talk about himself a little bit more, but I'll see if I can find those that tape she gave. I assume it's not going to be much of anything, but I've listened to a lot of EVPs, and if you don't know what you're listening for, it could be anything. If I find it, I will do another video, but I have a small stack left of things to go through, and I haven't seen it, but I'll keep my eye out for it. Maybe send it to somebody. Maybe I should get a hold of Bart or Jeff and see if maybe they know. Anyway, thank you guys for staying with me all this time. I will be in New Mexico for a skeptic camp on the first part of May 2nd. You guys can come out and hang out with me if you're from New Mexico. We'll be in Albuquerque. I will be in Fresno for a conference in the middle of May. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's like a teaching thing for college professors who teach critical thinking classes called LiliCon, LILICON. I will be in June, I will be at the Amazing Psychon in Buffalo, New York for like almost a week. I will be at the Bay Area Skeptic Camp, which is the 18th of April. I'll be talking about psychics, but I only have like a 15-minute gig. In August, I will be at Skepticon in Berkeley or Oakland. It'll be in Oakland, California. On the 27th of June, I'm going to be doing a workshop. I think I get 45 minutes. It's going to be all about psychics. I'm hoping I'm going to get to go to Liverpool to the European Skeptics. That'll be in October. Seattle, I will be at a skeptic camp in Seattle in August. I will be in Dallas in September at a mentalism conference doing a talk on psychics. That's if you guys are anywhere near these areas, come on and hang out. And that I might be in Lancaster, Pennsylvania in October the 10th. I don't know if I will be at the West Virginia Skeptic Camp because that's on the 17th, and I'm hoping to be in Liverpool. No idea. So be in touch, and I'm looking forward to your comments. Take care, everyone.